Hey guys, how's it going? This is Bart coming to you from TST Industries in Florida with another episode of TST Garage. Right next to me, you'll see two Suzukis. This one's a DR650, this one's a DRZ400. This was the original bike that we launched our Fender Eliminator integrated taillight combo for, and then subsequently we rolled out that same combo adapted to different supermotos and enduro bikes out there on the market. Some of those include the CRF 250L, KLX 250, WR 250, several models within that family. And now we finally have it for the DR 650. In the future, we'll be adapting this package to other bikes as well. And for the reason of letting you guys have multiple choices in how you mount your license plate with this setup, we've now rolled out with an adjustable Fender Eliminator license plate bracket combo that fits with these systems. Historically, we were providing these systems with a static bracket that was fixed in angle and was able to just fit in here and mount your license plate in a very simple fashion. These are made of stainless steel, powder coated black. They're nice, but they don't give you the ability to customize the angle and how far back this thing sits, your license plate sits. So we decided that since choice is freedom, we will give you guys the opportunity to choose whether you want the static bracket or the adjustable bracket with these kits. Now, because we've already shot all the installation videos specific to each model bike that these parts fit on, we're basically just doing an appendix video showing you how to construct the adjustable setup and then fit it on these bikes, any of the bikes that I mentioned, in place of the bracket that was shown in the original video. So here on the table, what I'm gonna do is get the parts that come in the adjustable kit and pre-arrange them into this assembly, because this is what goes in place of the static bracket. And then we'll jump on one of these bikes and we'll show you how to install this setup instead of the other one. So for a full installation instruction, you would have to watch through the instructions on how to put the parts on your bike and then just substitute this assembly in the appropriate step. I'm gonna try to keep this as simple as possible, keep it flowing, make it really easy for you guys. Let's get started. I have gone ahead and emptied the contents of the bag for the actual adjustable setup. This is our mounting bracket and hardware for mounting these components to that bracket. So we're gonna leave these on the side for now. Let's empty out these parts and I'll show you how to arrange them in front of you so that you could choose the appropriate components for the appropriate spots. If you notice, these are opposite side mirror image of each other parts. I like to arrange them in this fashion, sloping down towards the rear. Then we have these hinges that, when you look at these, there is a shorter, smaller radius arc and a straight part here. The arced side goes towards the rear. These are actually exactly the same. We're going to put those on the inside of these brackets. And now we need to grab these countersunk screws, put them here. We have small locking nuts. Those go behind here. And then we have these screws and these washers that will assemble together and get this bracket onto the hinge, and then the same process on the other side. I don't tighten anything just yet. I just get it turned in. For these screws, I use a 4mm Allen. For these guys, we will use a 3mm, and the nuts will take an 8mm box or open-ended wrench. So for this particular assembly, we will use the innermost holes. Get this slotted bracket through, cap it with a nut. And once again, I'm going to tighten this down almost to the bottom, but keep enough adjustability so that we can finalize all of our tightening once all the components have been put together. That looks good to me. Same process on this side. Okay, still have some adjustability. Need to make sure that all of these components go back to the orientation that I showed you in the beginning. And obviously you want TST Industries to be upright. If it's upside down, you've assembled this bracket upside down, I think it'll still function for you. It'll just look a little funny. All right, now we get this bracket, and we have to make sure that this geometry faces the rear of the bike and faces the TST bracket. Now we are going to grab these screws, put a washer on each one of them, and then they get assembled through here, through these slots, into our hinges. These screws also take a 4mm Allen key. Now when everything's still loose, everything's going to be pretty lopsided on you here. So we will go through a tightening procedure. I'm just demonstrating this on video for you guys to know how to construct everything. So I am not going to put thread locking agents on my fasteners, but I want to urge you to use a good, at least medium strength thread locking agent on these connections and the hinge connections. The reason being, if you do not, these bikes do vibrate a lot, and there are good chances that everything will loosen on you. So you want to get some thread lock in there, and that will make sure that your license plate stays on the bike. Now we have the choice of tightening everything down and committing to all the angles, but I think it's a little premature for that. So I'm going to leave some of this stuff decently loose, and we'll adjust it once we get our license plate on the bike and everything's already installed. We'll do a final angle adjustment here. So I'm not going to tighten these down all the way. As you can see, when they're loose, they enable some adjustability here. So let's do that final adjustment there. I am going to commit to tightening these because our taillight will end up right here, and then we don't have any more opportunity to tighten, loosen, adjust, or anything. So they basically slide forward and aft. I like to keep my license plate pretty far back on these bikes, so I'm going to push it all the way back. If you want to push it forward, that's cool. So these are going to get tightened all the way down, and then the L brackets here are actually slotted for adjustability side to side. However, on this particular setup, we are tapped out on adjustability because of being basically at the least wide place in the range. So our only choice is to tighten it down and get it ready for installation. There's no need for thread locking agents on these components because we have provided locking nuts here. So as soon as you get it to the bottom and tighten it, that's locked in place and that's good to go. One additional note I want to make about these components here. You see these two little slots, that's basically for the purpose of passing a tiny little zip tie through in case you're going to be running wires underneath here. And we are going to run a license plate light that is available as a separate module in our store. So if you buy these parts and you want to run a license plate light, you would buy that module and couple it up with these parts. And if you want to have nice and cosmetic wire routing, you would put a little zip tie through here and then pass your wire through here, and then you cinch it down, and then it's good to go. So if you're gonna do that, make sure you put it in at this stage, because once you put this under the taillight, there's no more opportunity to pass things through there. So this is now ready to go on the bike. I'm gonna clear this table out of the way and we're gonna focus on the installation. We're just gonna use one of these bikes. The 650 is already on the lift. We're just gonna make use of that bike and I'll show you how to get this installed on there. And this will be the same procedure for all the bikes that I mentioned and any of the bikes that you see this video in their product page. All right, let's get going. Okay, so as you previously saw, we had this bike pre-configured with the standard fixed angle setup. I have allowed myself to take the 3 screws that clamp all this together out of place so that I can disassemble it. The idea here is that your frame mounting bracket and taillight sandwich your license plate bracket in place, and then you use those 3 screws as we prescribe in every single one of these videos to clamp this together. What we do here to adapt this to the adjustable setup is just take this out and insert our adjustable setup in, and then we put those screws back through. So I will do that on the bike now. Once I have all 3 screws engaged, I will do basically an adjustment of heights for all these components. Just want to make sure that I take out all the slop, but still leave a little bit of adjustability, so I don't want to tighten it up just too much. As you can see, the entire system drooped. We have the ability to push this up until our foam block contacts the tail. On some of the bikes that we sell this setup for, there will be no foam block. It will just be contact as prescribed per our installation video for that particular bike. And then you have a little bit of adjustability here in this system going up and down. It's just a matter of snugging it up and making sure everything's sitting level at this point. And it is level, so I will tighten down on the screws all the way. These are self-threading screws going into deep plastic bosses. You do not want to over tighten them. The actual mechanism of the thread that is cut by the screw with the friction between the 2 materials keeps this in place. So that's pretty good to go. We basically need to adjust this angle to our liking. We can template this with the license plate here. This is basically up to you. I would advise you not to point this down like this, because with the travel of suspension, you may nail your license plate with the rear tire. I'm gonna leave it right around here. Once you're happy with your angle, just lock down the screwed connections here. Make sure they're nice and tight and they won't move on you. And if you are installing a license plate light, you will feed the wire over the bracket, advance it to here, and your license plate is gonna sandwich the license plate light in between the bracket and the license plate itself. Let's get that in place. We also go over this in the standard system video, but since we do have a slightly different wire routing here, I wanted to show you guys. In this appendix chunk, center everything before proceeding. At this point, you just route your license plate wire as prescribed by our other installation videos. We did leave this zip tie here ready to receive that wire and cinch it down, so we're going to engage that now. What I like to do is leave enough slack here in case you ever want to adjust this beyond where it is now. It'll support any of the adjustments you may want to make. Still nicely hidden here. And at this point, I would trim this off and then proceed as per the other instructions specific to the bike for routing the wires, tying them off to the frame, and things like that. This is pretty much all the instructions I can give you specific to the adjustable kit. Beyond this, if you have any issues that come up during your installation or any questions, please contact our customer service department and they'll be able to help you. Thank you for watching. Ride safe.